Hill 10-1. Theo getting 1 of 2, if not 1 of 3, if not 1 of 1 drivers on the weekend that has had a stopwatch on for the moment they go green for practice.
It is a very healthy grid of karts, and we're ready to let them loose. Heat 1, X30 Jr. in the lines, looking good. It is good. We're racing down to turn 1.
Here's we get to see what has Lucas Palacio learnt as the back of the field, the 709 REM kart. That's Leo da Silva coming to grief. But Palacio, he's been doing it on the world stage over in WSK, and now he comes back. What of his rivals learnt in his absence? Because if he thinks he's coming home to a nice easy run, he is sadly mistaken, as already Medeiros and the number 751 of theosalomao getting involved. The 799 of Edward Kennedy, the energy kart, working really well. And here's the first lead change. It's theosalomao from 5th to 1st on the opening lap. Palacio coming straight back at him though, and Salomao says, not today. I'm going to lead this one for a little bit. And there's Medeiros and Kennedy battling, an all-Canadian scrap over P3.
Big run down to 4. Kennedy on the high side. Looked like everybody else in front of him was single file, and they will end that way. Kennedy now falls behind Tristan Murphy. So backward slide very quickly for Edward from 3rd across the loop to half a lap later back to 6th. Everyone's making big moves down on the hairpin. Lots of drivers bailing to the inside to either defend or try to make a pass. It looked like a move was made by Jude Thurmalaswamy, maybe. One of the Speed Concepts Racing entries there. Quite a few of them here in this junior class, but it's led by Orsilon Racing's theosalomao, the Daytona Super Prix standout. Continues to show the way at the end of lap number 2, and behind him, here's the fight for 4th. Ashton Woon all the way down, kissing the grass, going to 1, trying to fend off a hungry pack of about 15. Let's see what happens down at 4. They're going to change the lead. They'll change 4th as well. Murphy gets on Woon, and Palacio gets one over on theosalomao. So Lucas reclaims that top spot.
But see the difference between the top 3 as they head down towards turn 8 now, and everybody else behind. Look at them all firing out to the inside. There's Weiland in the number 720 Magic Kart, trying to replicate some of the moves he was making in his junior, KA Junior heat earlier on. Not quite as successful here, and here we go into turn number 1 at the start of lap number 4. Side by side for P4 between between Woon and Murphy. Murphy gets it. Woon wants it back. Weiland is next. Antonino, Kennedy, Vanchev, and then the number 791 kart. The driver out of Kalamazoo, Michigan, Jude Thurmalaswamy. How was that? That
was a good one.
That was a good one. Thurmalaswamy. I was worried I was going to get Kalamazoo wrong there, but Jude, hey Jude, you're in the top 10 ahead of Sarah Bradley, Nico Katowski, and then Popescu, Pettit, Dupuis, Saraval, Halfan, and Sebastian Rist driving for Vorti's competition.
Side by side at the back there in 11, Antonino and Woon going at it. Ashton Woon just cannot seem to find a break as they go by. Here comes Alexander Vanchev. He'll go through in turn 3. Here comes a teammate for Woon and Jude, and then Sarah Bradley, the SCR Red Speeds, or the CS50, the Sainz machines, the Carlos Sainz chassis, back now lined together at the end of the top 10, 10th, 11th, and 12th. But up front, Palacio, Salomao, Medeiros, fast lap that time by, give the honor, I believe, to Tristan Murphy, a 48.74. That was a burner for sure, and it put him a little bit closer to Medeiros. He is tracking down our man in 3rd. Max Weiland trying to do the same back in 5th. Let's see what they look like this time across the loop. 48.7s for the leaders. A 6.7 for Tristan Murphy. Another 10th lopped off to the top 3. He is marching forward on that Ryan Perry Motorsport Tony kart.
Yeah, and after those initial opening salvos over the first couple of laps, things have calmed down. Now everybody is sort of, I say, content. They are where they are, and they think, okay, I need a couple of laps now, maybe cool the tyres, maybe just sort of work on closing in, because my chances are still not over. They're looking up at the front, they're seeing Salomao locked onto the rear bumper of Palacio, and they think to themselves, okay, we know that's going to break loose at some point, so let's make sure we're as close to it as possible as Vanchev makes the move on Kennedy, and Kennedy doesn't fight it, and in fact now will push Vanchev down the straight through turn number 1 and 2, so hopefully neither of those two drivers lose any ground to Antonino, who runs in front of them in that MPG Motorsports kart in P6.
Yeah, John Antonino Jr. Right now in no man's land between the groups, trying to close up to Weiland a little bit. Looks like he gained some. This will bring everybody close together again. Little contact in 8, and we're 3 wide for the lead. Murphy not able to go anywhere. He gets back to 3rd. Medeiros is 2nd, but Theo takes over, and it's Palacio back to 4th with company. Here comes Weiland to the rear bumper. He won't go. Antonino well. New man in 5th, and here comes Vanchev as well. But up front, Canada to the lead. Cole Medeiros goes through, and Murphy is unable to follow. He stays 3rd.
And that is why we saw those few laps where everybody just settled down and played follow the leader, because they knew that this would happen up front. Salomao hanging tough there at turn number 4, and they knew this would happen, and they knew that it would bring them all closer together, because behind the top 4, look at 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th, all in a row. Back to Pettit, 12th, Bradley, Thirumal Asawami, Woon is down to 9th, Kennedy, Vanchev, Weiland and Antonino, all chasing the top group there out of the final corner. Antonino to the inside, looking for P2. Does John Antonino get it? Yes, he does, at the expense of 711 Tristan Murphy. Running lap 9 out of 12. Orsalon Racing leads MPG Motorsports, leads RPM up at the front of the field. Then the Racing Edge Motorsport team, followed by the Wallace Performance Group, Magic Kart, and then a gap back to Speed Concepts Racing. We've got 3 drivers. New race leader, John Antonino at turn number 8, and Salomao having to defend. That's given Antonino a couple of kart legs. Can he make that count? And he runs it high, wide and handsome out to the final corner. Can Antonino hang on? Lap 10 out of 12.
So far, so good for Buddy. John Antonino Jr., though, is going to have a fight headed to his doorstep now as they close back in down the back straightaway. This pack is single file back to Ashton Woon, who is trying to recover from that great qualifying effort that saw him just slide like a rock down the leaderboard in the opening couple laps. 2.5 to go into the hairpin. Antonino leaves the door open. Salomao goes through. Behind him, side by side for Medeiros and Vanchev. And it will end up with Antonino now side by side with Murphy. Vanchev's going to follow to get to 3rd, and Theo is going to get a big lead here. Let's see if Vanchev, he told Antonino there with the hand signal to work together, knowing that it's going to explode behind him, and it has. Porter, stay careful there. Your ankles nearly got busted by this crazy pack. The battle is on for 4th onwards to about 12th, and the top 3 have some room now with a lap and a half to go.
Yeah, Cole Medeiros, he was the main reason that we've now got a 3-kart breakaway. He went at the inside coming into the final corner, clattered across the curb and forced everybody to check up. It allowed Salomao, Antonino and Vanchev to break clear. Now Vanchev makes a move, eases Antonino wide. Oh, that was wonderful there from Vanchev to just give Antonino enough room to slide in behind him without running off the track. Oh, and there's an RPG car.
Luca Popescu, the 719, slow in there on the inside of turn 9. He'll drop down from 12th last time by. White flag, Henry.
White flag. Where has Lucas Palacio gone? He has dropped down the order. I'm not sure if there's been a problem. Here we go into turn number 4 for the final time. It's Salomao, Vanchev, Antonino now out of the bowl, up towards turn 5, through 5, into 6, out of 7. And no one making a move. Woon in 4th, and Medeiros having to make that REM kart very wide in 5th.
Murphy going to get by on Thermalaswamy. He'll be on the outside for 9, but up front, still good. Palacio indeed, a DNF back on lap 10 to the last corner. Salomao versus Vanchev, a Daytona repeat. Will it be the same winner?